This afternoon, the upper house of the Indian Parliament passed a very significant electoral bill. A bill to link the Aadhaar with voter IDs. The Aadhaar, as you know, is a unique 12-digit ID. It is given to the residents of India based on their biometric data. It's called the Aadhar Card. As per the new bill, the Aadhaar will now be linked to voter identity cards. Will this be mandatory for all Indian citizens? The answer is no. It is going to be optional, voluntary, meaning if you do not want it, you can opt out. You get to decide if you want to link the two. If you don't want to, that's fine. You can still cast your vote. Your name should still appear in the electoral rolls. Now, in case you're planning to link the two, the Aadhaar and the voter ID, when can you register? Well, right away. You can link it through SMS, through a phone call, at the National Voter Service Portal, or by visiting the nearest booth-level office in your area. Next question, why should you do this? Why was this bill even necessary? I'll tell you what the government is saying. Number one, to solve the problem of fake votes and duplication. Number two, to end multiple enrollments of the same person in different places. And number three, to clean electoral rolls by removing names that appear multiple times. Basically, to avoid duplication. This, the government says, is part of a larger reform, what they call the Election Laws Amendment Bill. It seeks to make significant changes in the election law. What kind of changes? Like when you register to vote. Once you turn 18 in India, you can get registered as a voter. Until now, you could do that only once a year, before the 1st of January each year. So if you turn 18 after this date, you had to wait an entire year to register yourself as a voter. That won't happen anymore. Under the new law, voter registration is going to be more flexible. You see, voter lists used to be revised once a year. Now they will be revised 4 times a year. The 1st of January, April, July and October. Electoral rolls in India will be revised after each of these dates. The second change is this. Elections will be made gender neutral for service voters. Who are service voters? Those in the armed forces. They enjoy some special privileges like voting through proxy. They're allowed to do that due to the nature of their job. Until now, only the wife of a service personnel could enroll herself as a service voter. The provision applied only to the wives. But what happens to a woman officer's husband? He does not qualify as a service voter. He's not entitled to this special facility. The new law is going to change that. The bill proposes to replace the word wife with spouse, and that makes this provision gender neutral. Now, these are important changes. The government says they'll make elections smoother and more transparent. But its critics do not agree, especially over the linkage of Aadhaar with voter IDs. It's proving to be controversial. They say the move is outside the legislative competence of the parliament, that it violates the fundamental right to privacy, that it will be used for voter profiling and targeted campaigning, and that it might even lead to mass disenfranchisement, meaning a lot of people will be denied the right to vote. So how did the critics arrive at these conclusions? They cite an incident from 2018 when a large number of voters went missing from electoral rolls. This happened during assembly elections in the states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. On voting day, approximately 27 lakh voters were missing from the rolls in Telangana and around 20 lakh voters were missing from the rolls in Andhra Pradesh. How did this happen? Software error, we were told. A mistake while linking the Aadhaar with voter IDs. This is what the Chief Electoral Officer of Telangana suggested, and he blamed it on a faulty software, plus other factors like migration of voters due to the bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh or the lack of door-to-door verification of registered voters, a whole lot of things basically. In the end, they could not decide what caused the error. Why were so many voters missing from the rolls? And there's no guarantee that this will not happen again. But it's a fact that in India, we have a substantial number of duplicate voters. There are a lot of people who are registered at multiple places, a lot of voters who keep changing cities and then fail to register themselves again. Suppose you belong to Punjab, live in New Delhi, and then shift to Karnataka. Where do you vote? How many of us make the effort to re-register ourselves as voters in another part of the country? How many of us transfer our voter IDs from one constituency to another? In a country where so many young people are migrating internally for jobs and education, we end up with lost votes. This is bigger disenfranchisement. And the new law aims to fix this. By linking the voter ID with the Aadhaar, you declutter the election database. It's a win-win for both the voter and the Election Commission. Of course, precedents must be taken into account while executing this. They must be looked at to improve the bill, make changes where necessary, and ensure smooth execution. But opposing reforms for the sake of opposing, politicizing bills without understanding them properly, will only stall India from solving its many problems. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.